As I said to Arthur Ferry, you're in beta. That's what you get for joining the beta. Is all kinds of trouble with setting up stuff. So welcome.
Part of the
I
job.
thought there was only good things happening to us if we joined the beta. No, that's
For future, how do you say that? In the
Endeavors,
future,
maybe.
of course, exactly. I think it's wise to start with a little bit of introduction for everyone. Of course, I think we all talk to each other. I think we have the four most active users of the Discord in one room at the moment, talking Arthur, Ferry, and JV. I know Hector just joined. Hector's just listening in. So yeah, who wants to go first? I have JV Gaming on my screen, so.
Okay, then I'll go. So I'm Duran. I'm 34. I live, I think, fairly close to Funds. I live in Toren, just south of Eindhoven. I am currently working for FedEx as a worldwide account manager, responsible for a couple billion-dollar companies within FedEx and all their European business. And next to that, I'm an avid sporter. I like to CrossFit, weightlift, watch soccer, and play games. So that's very short. And I'm American and Dutch, so I'm both.
Gotcha. What
Very
can we
short.
wake you up for?
What you chocolate. Yeah, chocolate.
that came out with a very big sigh, man. Oh,
Yeah.
chocolate, yeah.
Yeah,
Noted.
because that's the one thing I'm just trying to stay away from. You know, watching the weight, watching the COVID kilos.
Yeah.
So yeah, but chocolate, yeah, definitely.
Nice. Welcome. Ferry.
Yeah, so I'm not going to try and copy you, but my name is Ferry. I'm from Rotterdam, also 34, also an avid soccer watcher, a big Feyenoord fan, also a big Gran Canaria fan. I've seen them play in real life a couple of years ago, just before the pandemic. I was planning on going see them again this year, but no such luck. I'm an entrepreneur. I've been working for myself since 2016. First in growth hacking, and since 2017, I've been very much active in artificial intelligence and the synergy with humans. I like to read a lot of psychology books, as you can see right here, and I'm going to be sure to add some books to the book group in our Discord. And that's me in a nutshell.
Awesome. Arthur?
Hi guys, I'm Arthur. I'm 27. I live in the beautiful city called Utrecht. I'm actually half Polish. I have a very weird last name, Casio. You spell it. You kind of say it like the calculator and the watch. You just spell it differently.
Oh.
So that's for another story. I have my own company. I'm Captain Insight. That's the perk of having your own company. You can give yourself a fancy title. It basically means that I love to Google and ask difficult questions. I like to pick up heavy things in order to put them back down again. I try to play on my guitar every now and then, and I'm a big nerd, so I like to play games. And
what kind of games?
I'm quite big. Random fact of the day, I'm quite big. I'm like 2 meters and 110 kilo. And I've actually never had a fight in my life. So everyone's always scared of me. I don't know how to punch. I punch like a little girl, I think. I just put my big body behind it. But otherwise, no, and I'm a friendly giant,
Love it already.
Good to hear. Good to hear. Well, I guess I'm next. I'm Fons Jacobs, born and raised south of Holland in the beautiful town called Venlo. Yeah, like I said in my message, I'm an enthusiast. I like a lot of different things that have to do with culture, with entertainment, within entertainment, there's of course gaming, there's sports, there's music, creativity, brands, photography. The list can go on and on and on. At this point, I went into the rabbit hole of Web 3.0 after listening to a podcast by Chris Dixon. Hold on, how do I do this? Yeah, I listened to a podcast by Chris Dixon. Chris Dixon is a partner at Andrew and Horowitz, if I say that correctly, the big investment firm from the US. And he was explaining in 5 different, they called it mental concepts, how this whole Web 3.0 development and thing is going to play out. And that's when I was listening to that, that's when it really hit me is how this world is going to change in the next couple of years, and how all these little pieces of crypto and gaming and NFTs and all these things will fit together in this new immersive world that we're going to live in again. David, welcome. I don't know if you can talk, but if you can, I'll definitely want you to introduce yourself too.
Yeah, I can.
So yeah. Oh, there he is. Yeah, so that's
Can you hear me?
what I've been focused on the last 3 weeks, and I'm having trouble sleeping in a good way, and it's a lot of fun. And one of the things that I've been wanting to do something like Band of Insiders for a long time. I've been wanting to do podcasts for a long time. I've talked to David about it too, and it's just at one point I thought, you know what, fuck it, let's just throw some people in a Discord and literally see what happens, because I was thinking about it way too complicated, and thinking about different models on how to add value, and I know I can add a lot of value to a lot of people, and I really want to, and I love helping people and just sharing the stuff that I know and that I've experienced, but to throw that in some sort of form or shape was very hard for me to come up with, although I always have the answer for other people. That's very typical, of course. So that's when we said, you know what, fuck it, we're just gonna open up I told Gregory, I said, hey, I want to do this. So you want to join? I said, yeah, fuck it, let's go, let's do it. Okay, so I threw it online to give myself a hard deadline. I said I'm gonna do it within the next week. I did it on the last day of the week. So so typical. But hey, it's online. There's at least 200 people in, and I'm learning new stuff every day. Setting up bots and all this kind of fun stuff, trying to get the people engaged. So yeah, so that's a little bit about me. David, we could definitely hear you. I don't know, we can't see you, but yeah, if you wanna join, introduce
Yeah,
yourself.
can you hear
It's all
me?
yours.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, we can.
Sorry, yeah, I can't put my camera on. I'm not in the most suitable location at the moment.
It's all good.
But I'll save you the display of seeing my face. But yeah, I'm David. As Fon said, I've known him for a little while. I'm from London, but I live in Amsterdam. I currently work for Nike, doing member innovation over there. Enjoying it. Background similar to Fon's is in music, entertainment. Again, I went down the Web 3.0 rabbit hole with this whole metaverse, buzzword, and super interested to learn. Had loads of conversations with Fonz in terms of just how we can bring this into a brand perspective, and kind of find the niche spots within and try to align it. Again, I'm not like I know anything. I kind of like using the standpoint of I'm a student of life and a student of everything. So I always come from the standpoint of I know nothing and build from there. And I've seen that you guys are super smart in this Discord. So I'm just here to sit and watch and learn as much as possible. And yeah, that's me. If you
I don't think we're super smart. We're just very fast at Googling, man.
Well, I need to learn how to do that. So again, I'll always go from that standpoint. But yeah,
David,
yeah.
I'm so jealous of your accent.
That's lovely, yeah.
I was just about to say, if you can't understand me, please let me know, because
Throw him on the radio with a deep voice,
Yeah. We don't need a fake, man. We just.
Hey, I'm still single, so it's definitely not working. So
keep the mystery alive, man.
Exactly, man. Exactly.
The only way I can get a voice like that is just
get a mixer and this is weird
Hey.
That's almost the same.
Yeah,
almost.
definitely. Not
Love
far.
it. Thank you, David.
Well, good to have you here, David.
Thank you. And my Discord name is Ladder Boys. If you're ever wondering why you maybe don't see David, it's Ladder Boys.
Leather Boys?
Yeah, it's a long story, but it's Ladder Boys.
No, ladder. Ladder.
Oh, leather.
Leather,
I thought leather. Like...
Yeah, ladder.
Oh no, not leather. Leather. No. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Then we have Justin left. Justin jumped in too.
Hey, sorry guys, I'm a little late.
All good.
Yeah, nice to meet you all. Nice to be here. And I just want to tune in real quick. So, what did you guys talk about? Like
Introduction.
We were just introductions, man. So it's your last one.
Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm based out of Germany, and originally worked in like together with a bunch of people that have a pretty broad network of creators in North America, and all of those guys work very inefficient, as we think, and we thought we could maybe find new ways for them to monetize, from smarter ways to approach brand deals to better, yeah, in general, like how they organize production and everything.
I think you have some
And tool context
connection trouble,
right now.
Justin.
Oh,
Is it,
I'm
or is
very
it just
sorry.
me?
No,
No,
it's me as
I
well.
was also wondering, but
Oh, sorry, guys. Well,
All
okay.
good.
Is it better now?
Yeah.
yeah, we're used to
Okay.
it, man. The last 2 years have been like this.
Yeah. This is true.
Okay. So, So long story short, we're building a media company about creators at the moment. And yeah, that's what we do. So we're looking for a bunch of ways for creators to monetize and all that stuff, and want to open a production facility in Los Angeles next year, and
Nice.
equip them with like podcast studios and all that stuff, and kind of like streamline production for them, and build a live shopping or a live commerce platform on top of it, and produce from our own production facility. So
Nice.
that's kind of the idea.
Nice.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
Cool.
Well, welcome again.
Thanks.
I'm
Thank
trying
you very much.
to yeah, I thought, like I said before, me myself, I've been down the rabbit hole of Web 3.0, and I think it's absolutely fascinating what is happening and starting to happen and going to happen in the future. In my opinion, like I said, all the things that we're all loose bits and pieces of innovation when it comes to gaming, when it comes to metaverses, when it comes to NFTs and crypto and all these crypto projects and all this stuff. It's all finally in my head actually came together and how this is going to turn out. And that's why I'm super bullish right now on this stuff. And there's, in my opinion, it's inevitable what is going to happen, and which is that we're going to live online basically even more. Small example, in my opinion, is doing just like, the whole Facebook move of them turning themselves into Meta is, of course, genius in my opinion, because the mass will think of the metaverse as Facebook basically. Especially in the first wave of mass adoption, in my opinion. But as we saw in the example of Zuckerberg, is that he was doing a meeting in virtual reality, including shaking people's hands and stuff like that. And if that, again, it's going to happen, and it's going to happen. It's inevitably, in my opinion. But that little fact of that, how that will, turn into an economy, and that you want to wear a nice suit if you go to a place, and if you have a meeting room, then you want it to be filled with stuff that represent you. And so again, talking about culture is that's a little bit where I live, and how is that going to translate all that stuff? How is that going to turn out into, again, sports and other experiences and entertainment and so forth and so forth. So I would love to open up the conversation about that. I know Ferry had some questions about NFTs, or at least, so let's start there. For example, like, I don't know, what's your definition of an NFT at this point?
Well, to me, that's a good question. I think I've read a little bit about NFTs, and I think it's just part of the whole blockchain and moving towards a digital economy. I saw a video today about NFT where someone said it's a part ownership of something on the blockchain, but you're not the true holder of like the copyrights. That's always the artist. So to me, the question is, what does an NFT actually add? Like, what is the added value to the art itself? That would be like my starting point to start understanding what NFTs are.
Well, to
I
me,
think
that is.
Sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Jörg.
No, go ahead, Vince. Go ahead.
Okay, so for me, I think let me think about those a little bit. What you see in the space right now is that everybody, the masses thinks about an NFT as now as indeed art or something graphic. In my opinion, that is only like the tip of the iceberg, which is what is going to happen. Like the whole goal of this development of going into Web 3.0 is that there will be billions of NFTs every day. Meaning every sweater, so this Nike sweater, is there's going to be an online version of this, and it's going to be $50, just like the sweater is offline. So anything that can be owned is basically an NFT. So a skin in Fortnite at this point is basically an NFT. There's no investment value. There's just the fact that you, and that's the whole, yeah, but you don't own it in Fortnite right now. That's the whole problem that we're trying to solve. I say we as if I'm building NFT stuff, but I'm not. The whole problem that needs to be solved is that indeed it's basically, it's not yours at this point. If Fortnite decides to quit tomorrow, I'm losing my John Wick skin. But hey, and tomorrow I want to play Call of Duty, then I want to be able to take my skin because I bought that, I own that NFT, and I'm going to use it in other games as well. So yes, at this point, the easiest way to explain, to show other people if they ask about NFTs, they probably think about digital art, because that's the most basic, not the most basic, it's the first form that got adopted by the masses. But in my opinion, where this will turn out to be in the next couple of years is that, again, everything, if we're going to live in this online world, go back to the meeting example that I gave. If you go to a virtual reality meeting, you want to wear something that represents you, right? Like I'm not going to wear, in my virtual avatar is not going to wear a suit, because I don't wear a suit during the day. I want a cool ass hoodie. And if that cool ass hoodie is, I don't know, $50, I'll buy that. But it's not that that hoodie will be more valuable 2 years from now. It's just a hoodie. You know, there's millions of the same hoodie, hopefully not. But I don't know if I'm making any sense, Ferry, or anybody else. I don't know if there's anybody that wants to add, but that's how I see it at this point. And again, the art piece of it, the investment piece of it. That's why I was also interested what what's his name shared in the group. Let me see. Dubai, is that now you see the people that are buying NFTs, like the art pieces, are investors. But again, this is only the beginning of this whole development.
And I think there's two ways to it. What you said, there's people that go into NFTs because they like something, because it represents something they stand for, not looking at it as an investment. Like I have an example. I'm part of an online community of FIFA Ultimate Team traders. So there's a guy that he's called FUD Chief, and he's just very knowledgeable about trading in FIFA. And you can go into his Discord, and you can pay a monthly fee to get extra tips or help. And what he did now, because he uses a payment. You have a bronze, a silver, a gold, and that is just PayPal towards him. He has to pay taxes over it. So what he did now as a test, he made 3 types of NFTs that represent a lifelong membership as long as you own that NFT, which saves him taxes, because it's blockchain. So and that's a good start. It's something different. It's not art. It's not it's a service you get access to.
It's a utility almost.
Exactly. So that's what I read a piece, and I looked it up, and it was pretty good. So it's all about being non-fungible, that it's unique. It can be replaced with something else. They said it here, if you trade one Bitcoin for another Bitcoin, you'll have exactly the same thing. You'll have a Bitcoin. But a one of a kind trading card, however, if you traded it for a different card, you'd have something completely different. And I think that's the basis of maybe what it does in my eyes. It's so versatile. I think if you ask everyone what an NFT could mean for you, you come up with a different answer. But it's
think
still
the
for me. Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish the sentence.
Yeah, for me, it's still there's so much to it. I'm heavily into crypto, but also not on the trading side, but on a long-term investment side. And this is just a completely different thing. There's so much unknown to me still. So yeah, it's very interesting.
How I look at it is that I think there's two parts to a NFT. You kind of have the real world and you have the virtual world. And in the real world, you probably get a profile which says that you have this NFT from this FUD champion guy that gives you that you're the rightful owner of that NFT, right? That's in the real world. That's probably some online page wherever you can see, hey, this guy has these NFTs. However, I think the interesting part is that when you translate those things to the virtual world, like for example the hoodie, I mean Funds and I, we have the same hoodie, we're representing Nike, but when you translate that NFT to the virtual world, you'll be able to actually use it in that world. Like if you have the fucking Picasso NFT, you go to my living room and I have a beautiful Picasso here which you can't see, but in the virtual world, you'll be able to see that Picasso and you'll be the only one having that, right? So I think there's different layers to it, and I really like the example you have, Jaran, from if you have the NFT, you can have access to the fight champion guide, right? I think that's very interesting, and yeah.
But how does it work? Like, I understand the digital part, right? Like I go into a game, I buy a skin, I get the NFT, so I have rights to that particular skin and all the added value that goes with it. Like I have a lifetime access to the game, whatever. But how does it work in the real life? So you have a sweater, but I have the NFT of that sweater. Can you wear my sweater, or how does that work?
No, to be honest, I think that means jack shit. You have the NFT. Like it doesn't give you anything. It just no, seriously, it just gives you the status. And I think that's the whole game around NFTs. It gives you something unique, status. It's scarcity. It's just scarcity in a different jacket. Does that work?
Yeah, but don't forget is that eventually Nike is going to sell online hoodies to wear in your on your avatar or during your meetings or whatever metaverse you want to play in. You can wear your hoodie, but everyone here can buy a version of that hoodie. It's probably going to be hoodie number 1 until hoodie number 100,000. It's the same hoodie, but that's the difference that a lot of people I think still need to make, is that it's not everything is going to be it's special. There can be 100,000 of versions of this, not even versions. It's the same black hoodie with the Nike logo. You know what you're trying if you understand what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah,
it's going to become a utility.
Yeah.
And it depends on the creator what he has in mind. If Nike says, okay, I'll do a collab with Greg, and there's 5 hoodies on the market, it's supply and demand. That create it's different if a creator says there's only one of it, or there's 100,000 of it. It creates a different path they go along. It's either then it becomes an investment, or it becomes a wearable. It becomes something that can be used by a lot of people. There's a lot of differentiators in that. I don't know how that will work.
So I just got a question. Sorry, saying based on that point on if it's a wearable or if it's an investment, and the difference between having 100,000 and then having 5 by a unique designer. Even if you've got that 100,000, owning that 1 to 10, is that still not an investment piece?
It might be. You never know. That's the market. The market decides what something's worth. So, it could be an investment if we have billions of people in the world. If there's only 100,000, it could still be an investment. But that's with crypto as well. You don't know what's going to blow up, and what the parameters are for that to happen. Especially for NFTs, I don't know.
I think what we saw in the last year, with the Nyan Cat being like 60 something fucking $1 million, it's the very first stage of what NFTs are going to represent. I think in the future, there's going to be hundreds of applications to having or owning or wearing or showing or, whatever the fuck you want to do with an NFT, right? But what I find difficult is that, okay, let's say Nike makes those 50 sweaters. In what fucking metaverse are they making them? Are they making them in Sandbox or in Decentraland, or is there going to be the Facebook metaverse kind
No,
of like if
it's gonna be how do you say that? You can, the whole point of this is that you own it, so you're in the end, you'll be able to bring it to wherever you want to go.
Right, that's cool. That I didn't realize. I thought if you make NFT kind of in Sandbox, let's say, right, then you have that in your little world of Sandbox. But what if everyone hops onto, I don't know, Decentraland? Do I lose my NFTs or not? Right?
No. So that is exactly what they are trying to solve. Is that now, like I said, going back to the gaming examples, is that okay? I literally paid, you know, LeBron James and Travis Scott have skins in Fortnite. I paid for both because I love them both. But then I jumped on Call of Duty and I went to play on Call of Duty instead of Fortnite. So I cannot use those skins anymore, which is crazy because I paid for it. So it's like I don't own it, I guess. But now that with the whole indeed with the chain and quite coincidentally, I looked at a project today. I think it was called Arcade Network, that is exactly saying that they're going to do is that you'll be able to switch items between metaverses, because an NFT will go into your MetaMask wallet, for example, and your MetaMask wallet will then be connected to Fortnite. So if you buy a skin, that skin will go into your wallet instead of it's stuck in the game. And how that then will translate into, okay, in terms of design and graphics, and I don't know, I have no idea, but that this is going to happen, 100,000%, because that's exactly what they're trying to solve here.
But exactly the how, that is something that very smart people are working on. We don't know how. They just came up with this. It exists. We all feel, or a majority of enthusiasts feel that this is the future, and now we have to find implementations for this technology, for these NFTs. It is still very early stages, and guys, we're all here to come and witness and experience it. You're right.
I need one of those, man. I really need
so
one.
good. I could just
yeah.
That's nice.
No, but that's
well, yeah, like I agree.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was wanting to check if Ferry has anything to you know, question or ask, or this is an open discussion. Like there's so many things that aren't answered. There's no answers to them yet, basically. But again, for me, the piece of the puzzle that was added was indeed, if we're going to live in a society that is, you know, the moment where we're going to live more online that we live offline, then we want to flex. Like, you know, it's the same reason people buy a Rolex or a Ferrari at this point, is to show other people that they can and to enjoy the ride. The same thing is going to happen in an online world. So that's why, again, going back to the example of a meeting. So let's say there's a meeting room and I host a meeting and someone wants to sell me something or something, or maybe someone wants to work with me. And I said, let me host you in my room. And the person walks in and there's an original CryptoPunk at the wall, which again, we're fully online. So you can immediately tell by data that that's a real one instead of a fake one. That gives me validation. That says, one, I understand this world. I was there from the beginning, or two, I have a lot of fucking money. It's either one. Yeah. So, and that's literally what happens now. Like if you have an exclusive sneaker, you know, you have an, again, going back to Nikes. I'm a big Jordan 1 fan. If you have an exclusive Jordan 1, you understand your shit. Like, man, that to me is like a sign of, if you meet me and I see that the person that I'm meeting has, you know, is wearing exclusive Jordan 1s, like, oh no, you know, he knows. So we just build a little connection. That's going to happen online. It already happens online based on social media. You know what I mean? So, but it's going to become even more important if we're actually going to live into this virtual worlds. And that, going back to then the whole NFT question, that can be anything. That can be. I just want to indeed. Nike's probably going to do the same. I don't know, David, if you can give some insights. No, I'm joking. But Nike's probably going to do exactly the same. Like there's going to be regular sweaters or hoodies that are available for everyone for $50, or you can buy the exclusive one. Or you can buy an exclusive pair of Jordans or this exclusive hoodie that's worth a lot. And there's only 50 of them, which again, it already happens in the offline worlds. Like these exclusive sneakers, there's only limited pairs, and that's why they go up in value some. So yeah, that's how I see it at this point.
What would really be interesting for me is I'm a big FIFA player, and every year again FIFA starts, FIFA 22.
Yep.
You start over. You burn a lot of cash buying packs to increase your team, because in the end it's pay to win. So I'm curious how they're gonna incorporate NFTs in that part, because I don't want to. I have a full team now. I have Ronaldo. I have Kante. I have a good team.
Wow.
But next year, it's all gone, and I have to pay another 300, 400, 500 euros to get all those players again, to get all those packs, and that's just, I think, I hope that something NFT like will be incorporated into games to make it more viable, but also more worthwhile in the long term.
Yeah, I think they will be. This is exactly what I was talking to Gregory about, because I think they will be forced in the end. Like they have to, they're gonna have to do this. They're gonna have to like, to me, I absolutely admire EA Sports for reinventing the game of FIFA in terms of what they did with FIFA Ultimate Team and how they did that, and the business they created from that. It's absolutely ridiculous if you think about it. But there's going to be a second shift, indeed, just like you said. There's going to be a moment where people say, listen, I can go on Fortnite and buy my skin and take it anywhere, but I'm still here, doing the same stuff every year, and you're taking my money every year. They're going to have to reinvent themselves again in order to keep this going. Will they? I mean, they're one of the biggest in the world, so I believe they will. But yeah, that's exactly the same.
Is there enough incentive for them to change? Because I just looked it up, because I heard a crazy number that their revenue just from Ultimate Team is $1.6 billion.
Yeah.
In 2021. That's ridiculous. Yeah. Just in people buying packs. That's not revenue from selling your game or whatever. What will the incentive for them as a business be? That's something I'm curious about.
That's what I mean, is that they're going to be forced by the people in the end of the day, because people are going to get, if the masses see the other possibility that there's games out there that you can invest money in, and either you play to earn, like all these crypto games that are popping out right now. So you either play to earn, or you can keep your own stuff, you can bring it along to other games. Then why the hell should I still put money into FIFA? Like now it's a regular thing, right? Like people are just used to it now, and it's worth it, and it's fun every time. And but it's interesting, because again, I'm big on FIFA too. Is that where also, like, how you going to do that with seasons, and the incentive for you to build your team is also a little bit of the fun part, right? So they have to, but yeah, I believe in the end of the day, the people are gonna lose their interest if they don't somehow switch this up a little bit and develop it 100%.
Yep, exactly.
Ferry, is your mind blown yet?
Well, I got some insights now, but I still wonder. Like, I get part of it. Like, I get what you're saying. Like, it could be a flex, it could be a social proof of someone having money or knowledge or whatever. I would understand if Nike would release premium shoes and you could buy the NFT saying you're the owner of the certificate, whatever, you can trade it. What I don't get is like 12-year-old kids drawing monkeys smoking cigars, making 100 pieces of them, everyone wearing a different color hat, selling it for like 3-4K a piece. I don't really get where the value is, but I don't really understand as well is they call it collector's items, but they're not famous artists. They are not really collectibles. There's so many of them. They can make 100, 200, 300. So I don't really get where the value is in that part of it.
No,
I understand if you like create a skin for a game, I get it, but I don't really get the collectible cards by unknown artists.
But what you're saying now, that uncovers the thing that is wrong with this current sector, or wrong is maybe not the right word. It's just very hard to gauge the situation. Like Dogecoin, for instance, it's nothing. It's not built on something. It doesn't particularly have any use, no value. But the people created the value. The people created the demand. As I said in Discord, I thought, you know what, I'll put 100 euros in, and in 2 days I got 700 euros, and I ran for the hills. I was like, this is crazy. I don't like that. I want to know why is the value increasing for in stocks? You know, why is value increasing? You can see it. You can go through the books. There's some logic to it. There's very little logic in this part of the NFTs and the cryptos. It's just the demand. It's just people want to be a part of something and creating a demand. There is no explanation to your question, I think. My
But isn't
personal
it the same
opinion.
with Doge? Is also supply and demand, right?
Exactly.
I think it's the beginning of a huge market, and just like Franz just said, if you have that monkey crazy ape or something, right? If you have that in a couple of years, the OGs are gonna know that you've been one of the first ones, right? And I think the artists or the NFTs that are doing well right now are just because of the narrative, right? Just like how some stocks or some coins are doing well because it's the narrative, right? That's why metaverse and crypto gaming is so big now, because everyone's like, holy shit, that's going to be the next big thing, right? So I mean, the crypto apes, I don't know, it's just influences, just people saying, hey, this is it draws attention. Anything that draws attention right now, that's worth something.
Yeah. And I don't know if it was in our Discord or I saw it somewhere else where they, especially younger kids, getting drawn in to buy NFTs because big creators are promoting them. That they were pointing them out to the risk, to the BS that some content creators were spreading just for their own gains, and that's something you will have with a setup like this, with a market like this.
I mean,
Inevitable.
in the end, I agree, and I think in the end of the day, Ferry, who decides what physical art is art and why some pieces of art are, in all of a sudden are worth millions or hundreds of millions even. And what we're seeing now with NFTs is, again, it's just the art part, and there's a lot of scams, there's a lot of bullshit, there's a lot of stuff that won't have any value in the next 5 years. But there's definitely projects that although you say they're not famous, but you have to understand, like these, for example, we were briefly talking to the Crypto Wolves club, and I just jumped in to see how this worked, and there were 70,000 people in that Discord, and who all want to be a part of this, and because of promises, because of things, because of it's a community, and basically if they give access to stuff like, for example, the Bored Ape Yacht Club, I saw that you're going to be able to play a game with your Bored Ape NFT. You'll have access to events where these people will show up, which has a lot of value then, because Steph Curry has one. I saw DJ Khaled bought one. A lot of artists bought these NFTs. So again, because you need at least 150 or 200,000 to buy a Bored Ape at this point, meaning the people that are going to be there, they have some sort of value. I don't know what they are doing, but they're somebody basically. But again, I think you need to let that piece go a little bit and open up into, okay, this is just the art piece. And again, art is art. Like some people will pay $100,000 for this painting, and if I look at it, I'll go, yeah, whatever. I'll probably won't buy that. That's the same with this whole part of this NFT art space that's happening right now. But then again, what's going to happen next is then, okay, I can go to IKEA and I can buy this picture with the bike in Amsterdam that everybody has seen, which is then also an NFT. And I just like that to have that in my room, and it's $100, and it's not it's not an investment, but it's an NFT. Just like now, it's just a photograph that I just bought to hang on my wall. And that is where, but again, we're just in such an early stage, and this is the first thing that got adopted in terms of it's also one of the easiest, right? In order to understand is like, okay, 1 + 1 is not, it's art. It has some sort of value. It's limited. It's one of a kind, but again, the interesting one is, okay, where will this go next? But we don't know.
And
There's probably a lot of these projects going to explode eventually.
Yeah, and there's a lot of FOMO. That's part of it. That's why we probably in the beginning we went into crypto, because we need to do it, or just don't look at it, don't read about it, because then it's just FOMO, a lot of FOMO.
Yeah,
fair enough. It does make a lot of sense.
I mean, sorry, Ferry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I'm like, it's not I'm against NFTs. It's just hard for me to understand, like, how does it work? And there's so many answers to that question. But it's very insightful so far.
Hey, I mean, my girlfriend hates me for buying a fucking Batman skin on Fortnite, right? I'm just a big Batman fan, so I'm like, yeah, you don't get it, but I do, right? And it's what I represent online in a certain way. But I don't want to be the skeptical guy, but to be honest, I do think that we're gonna have a big crash before we really go into like mass adoption, because I think it's
for sure
we're in a huge bubble at the moment. I mean, also at the stock valuations, the only thing that's keeping us up are tech companies like Microsoft, Apple, and the big four, whatever. I don't know. I think the same is also with the crypto thing. I don't know. It's definitely here to stay. Right, the whole virtual reality thing, it's been out there. It has a little bit of a bad image, right? Everyone knows what the fucking Oculus is, but no one has really been into an Oculus. Did everyone just freeze, or is it just me? I think it's probably me. And I think the same. What's happening with? Okay, good. What's happening with the virtual reality? Like 10 years ago, everyone's like, "Holy shit, new big thing!" And then everyone had their first kind of bad experience with it. People got nauseous, and it's like fucking pixelated and whatever. It's a little bit the same with the NFT thing, right? People are buying it for 200,000, and they're like, "Why?" Right? So I think before we go into the next kind of wave, we're gonna have a big crash, and that's good for us, right? We can buy in cheap then.
You're saying it's all the rage now, everyone's on it, then it's going to crash, and then the good initiatives are going to pop up.
I think so, yes.
Most likely, yeah.
I mean, look at crypto. Same stuff happened. And that's the same thing I said about NFTs about a couple months ago, because the real boom happened, like, to me, like 6 months ago or something. But yeah, if you look at crypto, it's the same thing. 2017, when I bought my first crypto, it was a massive hype. Then it completely exploded. But hey, the real projects are still alive. They're still hanging on. An Ethereum back then was cheap as hell, and it's in my opinion the most important crypto out there. And it has proven that it is here to stay. So that's exactly what's going to happen with the NFTs. I believe the Bored Ape Yacht Club and the CryptoPunks are going to be the Banksies and the Van Goghs of our time. I 100% believe that, because they're so OG already. I cannot even imagine if we're really going to live in a virtual world or even more online, that these pieces will be massive collectibles in the end. I don't know if you guys saw that Visa bought their own.
Oh no,
they bought a
their own
CryptoPunk.
CryptoPunk.
A CryptoPunk. I believe it was. Yeah, they bought a CryptoPunk, and they said. It was funny because I was listening to a podcast with the person from Visa that was leading that project, and he said that Visa has a museum of collectibles of stuff, like, with everything has to do with credit cards and credit and payment. And they said, yeah, we had this old press machine that we used to make credit cards with, and blah blah. So it's kind of a museum for them, right? In terms of the development, the evolution of payments. And then I thought, he said, yeah, that's why we thought CryptoPunk, you know, we should have that one for in our museum. In the back of mind, I thought, this is just a massive branding move. And then 20 minutes later, he said, yeah, it was probably the most successful marketing campaign we did in the last couple of years was buying a CryptoPunk. And I can imagine for the image of Visa, me being an enthusiast of crypto and this whole new development, I'll probably go Visa, MasterCard, or Amex. Like, I like Visa now because they have a CryptoPunk. You know what I mean? Like, you know, that's, yeah. So, but yeah, it's very interesting to see that they actually bought a CryptoPunk.
I mean, it's the narrative. Brands are hopping on it, right? The Adidas, I think you also send it in the Discord funds and the Fortnites and, you know, the Heinekens of this world that are all jumping in on it, right? I mean, it's great, right? I mean, to be honest, for me, it's like I'm quite young. You're all boomers to me, right? I'm 27, and you know.
Hey, we're only 4 years apart. There, be careful.
No, but you know, the whole the .com thing and all the big things happened when I was a kid. I'm still a kid, right? But now I can, you know, I can be part of it, right? So I think that's also like a big. There's a lot more people in this world that have more access to these things nowadays.
Yep, definitely.
To not even switch, but like I said in my message about this call, the year is coming to an end. It's been one hell of a year again. Of course, 2020 was even crazier with the start of the whole pandemic. 2021 was different in my opinion, but yeah, we're all. I think everybody's already looking at 2022. So yeah, I would love to hear where your focus is and what you are. You know, and just in the macro of things, not just in the day to day, but what do you think about you know next year? What's going to be? Where are the opportunities at for you personally, in general, whatever it may be?
NFTs for sure.
Okay, why? Because now you.
No, I'm just joking.
Okay, I was interested, basically. But go ahead, because Perry, you're heavy into what I loved about, and that's a funny thing. I'll confess on Discord about this Discord move is Ferry. I've seen you on LinkedIn, of course. I've seen you on Clubhouse. You were one in some of my rooms that I did. I never really got to know you. Basically, I always saw the same picture. I was like, oh, there he is again, the blue and red background. And then now on Discord, you drop your introduction. I was like, holy shit, that's pretty
Impressive.
cool. So yeah. And that's the fun thing about this whole Discord. So Farrah, please share with us a little bit about what are you working on. I know we're talking about a lot of NFTs, but in a little bit of the the whole virtual thing, like AI is important. It's hard to understand. It's but yeah, also on a philosophical level, like how is it gonna interact with people and there's a lot of things to talk about. So I don't know. Share. I don't know. Do something.
Yeah. No, happy. No, share.
Nice
I'm happy
you.
to share some. Yeah, you too. You too. It's cool that my color branding has worked using the same picture over and over.
Not really, because I still don't know you, but now I do.
True. True, but you
Well,
did recognize
a different
me.
discussion. Yeah.
But again, thanks. Sure, I'll share some insights. Like I said in my introduction, back in I think it was like 2017. I was talking to a good friend of mine, and he was also working as a growth hacker. And what we saw was that technology was moving very fast. Artificial intelligence was becoming a sort of a hype. Everyone thought that every pre-programmed thing was artificial intelligence. But one thing that we figured out was that we can go two ways. We can use technology for good and for bad. Short term, making a quick buck, caring about people. That's where we kind of saw the opportunity, and that's where we still think there's a big opportunity for organizations, is to try and understand how humans and technology should work together. Just not going to talk about my own company, but the thing is that we labeled it brand humanizing, as in organizations should become more human. And it doesn't mean like sending emails using first names. That's all fine. That's all part of, that's a small part of branding. branding means that whatever you do, everything you do has to come from like a certain core, what you stand for. Like I have certain beliefs as a human being. I have beliefs, I have norms, I have hobbies and habits. An organization has the same thing, and everything that they do should be around humans. Now you have this whole trend of being human-centered and customer-focused, but they need to understand how technology is creating opportunities, but also it can be a very dangerous thing for humans. So one of the things where I really found out is last year when I entered a hackathon, anti-discrimination in algorithms in recruitment, which is quite the name. We saw an issue when algorithms make decisions, when organizations think that algorithms are just as smart as humans are. And they use it on recruitment. And it incurs so much discrimination, racism, sexism, because we don't understand how algorithms work. Well, we kind of do, but organizations just use it because it's cheaper. It's cheaper than having a professional. So they're willing to kick out 15 recruiters who are trained professionals. They use their old data, and then they face discrimination. So one thing that I see now, and I think it's a trend, which is a very positive trend, is that organizations start to realize that humans have very different skills than technology has. We always try to compete. Like we need to make AI, it needs to make decisions. It has to be faster than humans and cheaper and more efficient. But the thing is that AI and technology in general just sits in a whole different spectrum. So the way we look at it and where we see the massive opportunity, especially just on the business level, like on long-term growth for every type of organization, is to look at the long-term picture and decide and figure out and do research on where do we need humans and where do we need technology and how can technology support humans. One of the examples that we give, which is very relatable to a lot of people, they say like, well, I'm in marketing, so I use CRMs, I use HubSpot, whatever. How would it benefit me? But imagine that you don't use a chatbot and you don't use automation for buying your advertisements, but you use automation for your mundane tasks, for your administration, for quotations, etc. If I can create 2, 3, 4 hours a week for you where you can just talk to clients, call them, read comments on your social media, see what they talk about, see what their interests are, and then try and figure out how you can add value as a human being. Like if you read 5 comments that say the same kind of thing, use it and use your personal expertise rather than having automated everything and basically have no job in the end, because a company is just going to look at the bottom line. That's the whole thing. So the way we look at it is we need to start figuring out where does technology sit? So what is the strong suit of technology and where do humans sit? And that means that we also need to figure out how to be human. Like, how can you build relationships? What is critical thinking? How can you work on empathy? And I think one of the huge opportunities is understanding how technology works, but also how humans work.
We're going back to the basics.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, even I think it's important to understand the basics and then build up on those basics. If you are creative, we've got a lot of creative people in the Discord. Organizations are trying to create algorithms and machines and whatever to be creative, but they see it as a replacement of a creative person. But why isn't it like a team sport? Why don't you have creative people using new technology to create together? And that's the whole point of people need to switch their visions and organizations need to switch their visions. We don't have to replace humans. We need to make things that make humans do better work, more fun work. If you're a creative and like half your time is creating stuff and the other half is doing stuff you hate, which is part of your job, why are they trying to replace the creative part? Why don't they try and replace the boring ass part and then help you be more creative? How cool would it be if you are a creative getting paid to do creative work 8 hours rather than 4 per day? And I think we need to switch that whole mindset.
Pretty cool.
Very
I think that they're the two sides of the same medal, right? On the one end, you have technology and automating, and the other one, you have humanization, right? The more we automate, in terms of, you know, mundane tasks or, you know, overall processes within companies, the more we want to have real intimate human connection, right, with real people instead of a fucking chatbot that doesn't understand me, right? You want to talk to someone. So I think it's very interesting. It's a very interesting spanningsveld. I'm sorry for the English listeners. I'm not sure what the English word is for that, but I think it's interesting. Very cool.
Well, one of the things, one of the very scary things that we saw, like in practice in the Netherlands over here, is that you have these elderly homes, you know, where people are being taken care of, and they had created, and it's an awesome invention. They created a robot which was able to have conversations with people, have facial recognition, and then remember their stories based on their face, like a human being would, which is pretty cool. And especially for elderly people who don't really realize it's a robot, it's like, oh, I had a great conversation and it remembered my name and my backstory, which was awesome. But the people who choose to work in that field, taking care of people, were doing grocery shopping, were doing dishes. They were not talking to the people. The robots were doing the talking. Why weren't the robots doing the dishes so that the people could talk to the people, right? I mean, it's impressive that you can create a robot that can do that, but is it the right way to innovate? You can also innovate on the human side.
Mm.
It sounds so self-explanatory. It's like, yeah, duh.
Yeah.
Right.
But I guess it's not. Two things I wanna add here. Very cool. It's a very interesting field indeed to operate in. One, I think I strongly believe that creativity will be the last thing that can ever be changed by AI. I think that's probably one of the most human things that are. It's very hard to turn it into a computer. And second, I don't want to go back to NFT straight away, but there is NFT projects that literally they run on AI. So you buy something, and then with your profile, the AI creates an artwork, meaning nobody can ever buy the same thing because the outcome will always be different based on your personal profile, whatever it means. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. But yeah, going back, I thought you were going to give the example of the tax authorities, by the way, fucking up AI in terms of selecting who is potentially bad and who isn't. But it was
you
the
mean
elderly.
the combination of everything you could do wrong has been going wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Labeling, discrimination, people losing money, children, wives.
Yeah, it's horrible example of it's a good example of how it shouldn't be done, basically. But it's pretty amazing that you have been able to build an actual business into in this field, because now, if I understand correctly, what you do is you go to companies in order to identify these things, or you actually build too.
I'm gonna try and keep it brief. From the business perspective, we do two things. One is research, and then we do keynotes and talks about what we found out. So we're kind of teaching the mindset. And on the other hand, we work together with organizations to help them implement that mindset. Indeed, looking at processes like, okay, where are you interacting with humans? How can you automate stuff, et cetera, et cetera. So kind of like indeed helping them implement it. And then from the other side, my second company is creating AI. Well, not really AI. We are creating a platform where we can get rid of discrimination in recruitment, where we do look at AI and try to build a tool, but the tool isn't making any decisions, which is based on the brand humanizing principle. So that's like intertwined.
Nice. Jaren or Arthur, where's the opportunity in your opinion for next year? What are you focusing on?
I mean, for us personally, or for the world and whatever?
Both, or what? Either one. There's no rules here, huh? Ooh,
Jared, why don't you go first?
I asked a good question.
Yeah, for me, it's twofold. If I look at if I look at myself, I think it's important. I'm 34, fairly young, but we're getting older, and we need to take care of ourselves. who knows what happens in 30 years time, 40 years time. So I think my focus is going to be on how can I create added value for my own life, being making sure my spare time is spent well, so that I don't have stress. I'm relaxed. I'm efficient. I have fun in life. I think that's something that has focus for me. And one way I did that, I live close to the water. I've been living here. I lived in Maastricht for 8 years, and I moved here now with a lot of water around me. And last summer there was a company here, eFlow it's called, and they do e-foiling. I don't know if you ever heard of it or seen it. It's a small surfboard with a 70 centimeter fin and an electric motor, and you
Oh,
float over the
yeah.
water. I
Cool.
started doing that with a friend of mine, and we just completely lost ourselves. We went 2 times a week. It was a lot of money well spent. For the first time, I realized, okay, going outside, just switching off, having fun. And then we started to teach other people as well. And as of next season, we'll be co-owners of that company.
Oh, wow.
Just
Sick.
because it was so much fun. So it's not about making money as such, but it's something. This is a passion, and that's the first time in life that I said, "It's so fucking cool. This is what I want to do." And that
That's nice,
the
man.
two other guys also said, guys, you're so enthusiastic. Join the company, and that's the discussion we're having now. Equity wise, and it's a pretty fun. You learn a lot. But yeah, that's the focus for next year. Just blowing up that company. Yeah,
In a good way, then, right? Blowing up in a good way, right?
blowing up in a very good way. Yeah.
Well, to be honest, to add to your story, I think what a lot of people are struggling with is that they have no fucking idea what they like to do or what they want to spend their time on, right? They have a job, they have a family, and they just live life in a sense, right? And I think that you found an opportunity, you jumped right in, and you're like, fuck it, we're gonna blow up the company, right? So I think that's very cool. I hope a lot of people have that, to be honest.
Yeah, it's my wife, now wife, we just got married in August. It's still weird to say.
Congratulations.
But she works at the university in Maastricht. She's a communication manager there. But she found her passion in being a goldsmith. We have a whole shop here. She has her own company. That's a passion. It doesn't matter. Every evening, the whole weekend, she's behind her bench creating stuff, and it doesn't matter because it's a passion. It doesn't give you stress.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. And I think if we could all have that, life would be good. Life would be damn
Yeah.
good. So do
How did
that
you
in
know that?
2022.
How did you know that this company was the thing for you? Like, I mean,
By
you had
doing it.
fun, right?
By doing it once. By doing it once, I was hooked. And everyone that got up on a board had the same. It's so amazing. It's you can go really fast. You feel like a dolphin at times. It's amazing, man. Come over to Toren and try it out. Try it out.
Very cool.
I'll invite you next when the season starts again in March. You can come out and
Sounds like
play.
a Band of Insiders event.
Yeah, man.
Exactly.
Yeah, man. Yeah, Funs, that's a good idea. We want to do some events here in the water. So yeah, definitely a good idea. It's
Exactly.
amazing. Amazing.
Nice. All right, Arthur, you had enough time to think, man.
Oh man, no, it sucks because now I have this very stupid answer that involves growing myself as a person and also financially after such an inspiring story of Jaron, right? He found this thing and his passion, and not his passion, but he found something that he can pour his heart and soul in, right? So, no, to be honest, I mean, I've been trying to build my company for the last 5 years, and it's going well. We've hit 6 figures, which is nice. We're a consultancy, and we hired our first employees this year. So there's a lot of new things. There's a lot of scary things, growth pains and everything, right? And I think what I'm slowly trying to do is I'm trying to get that company running and trying to detach myself as much as possible from the operational stuff in order for me to focus more on stuff like Web 3.0 and other things, right? I think that my biggest learning, I think, for next year is not trying to do everything myself, if that makes sense, right? I think that's I'm a bit of a control freak, and I like to do things in a good manner, but not everyone or everything has to be done in how I see it, right? So I think that's going to be difficult, but it's just about scaling and preparing for whatever is coming. To be honest, my girlfriend, we've been living together for almost 2 years, and I'm a big meathead. I like to go to the gym, lift weights, but also I like meat. I like a big piece of steak. Put some pepper and salt in there, make it real crisp. I like it, but at the same time, if I'm honest, if I zoom out and see whatever the fuck is happening in this world with the whole sustainability thing, it also puts me in a mindset where I'm like, okay, what can we do about it, right? And I don't want to go all green on you guys and whatever. But to be honest, that's also since I live with my girlfriend, that's also a big I don't know. I've been starting to think about that aspect, right? So it's yeah, I guess that's it.
But can I say to you, you're 27. You look like a very smart guy. You have a good company.
It's the glasses, man.
don't be shy. Don't be shy. There's never a bad answer. You nailed it. You fucking nailed it on the head. Your life. Fucking go for it. Balls deep.
Cheers. Thanks.
Balls deep.
Balls deep. Balls deep. Cheers, man. Thanks.
If I can give you one book, Arthur, that you should definitely read, it's the Hard Things About Hard Things, by Mr. Ben Horowitz. I don't know if it's Andrew or Ben. I think it's Ben. It's a great book. It's about scaling his company, and it basically says throw all the bullshit management books away, and let me tell you how this shit really goes down. And he's of course a very successful entrepreneur now, a very successful investor, so he's definitely somebody you should listen to. But the stories he has and the way one of the most concrete elements that I picked from that book was firing people is not why you should probably take care of firing someone in the right way, in a human way, going back to Ferry, is not for that person, it's for your company. Because people forget about that. You can just if you treat somebody like shit, even though they didn't perform well, and you're like, okay, fuck them, we're gonna kick him out. They went like Sherry or gossip on him. I don't know. They turned the whole split into a mess. Other people that work for you are gonna think, is that how he treats people? Like, will he treat me like that? How is this? So that's one of the examples that he gave and the stories that he gave on scaling and the things that he had to figure out the hard way. And that's, I believe that's why he called it the Hard Things About Hard Things, because that's
right.
To give people a real insight into what's actually tough. And writing in the book that he will just sit at home crying and shit, and you're like, this is not fun.
And what I heard, and it always stood by me, and it's in the back of my mind. Always make sure that you're not the smartest person in the room.
Yeah, 100%. Or else you're in the wrong room.
Yeah,
it's difficult, man. No, I'm joking. But
it is difficult because then you are forced to give away control, and you said yourself, you're a control freak. It's your baby, it's your company, so that's something normal. But in the end, there are always people that know it better than you. Give them the reins and let them do their thing. But that's the same for everyone, not specific to you.
Yeah, it's a matter of self-awareness, right? And have the self-confidence to say to yourself, I suck at this, so you take care of this because I can't. And there's a lot of people that just will still go, no, I can do this myself. I'm smart. I can handle this. No, you only get this far, man. It's and again, this is not directly to Arthur, but just in general, is that you only go this far if you aren't able to trust other people with their expertise and know from yourself that it's like for me, finance and taxes and all that stuff. I completely have to trust. I would completely trust somebody else, because I don't know, man. I just, going back to Ferry, just give me an AI that runs this shit for me, because I hate it, and I just want to be creative. So, but yeah, let me. I'm gonna round this up a little bit. I probably have to go answer the question myself too.
Of course.
For me,
Of course.
yeah, for me, I think there's a couple of things. One, I want to make a move physically next year again. I want to go live in a place where opportunity brings me. And currently, I am working with Media Monks to see if we can launch a gaming division under their flag, which is a pretty big opportunity for me. If I can land that, I'll definitely move to Amsterdam for that. And then on the other hand, it's my freelance business. The Band of Insiders is a big part of that. I really want to see where I can take this, and what to me is like this is I just opened the gates, and bring everybody in. But what are all the things and little concepts and ideas and structures that are can come from this? Like I said, for example, this video call that we're doing, that I would love to make this a weekly thing, where, and again, we can turn it into content, which will hopefully help you guys, but also the community, bring more people in, and take it from there. I really like it. I've been, the Discord has been online for about a week, small week. I already met some great people. I'm talking to new people, which is always good. Getting new insights and really enjoying that. So I think there's like I said, in the beginning, I'm sleeping. My sleep hasn't been that good, and that's just basically because there's so much things happening right now. And like I said, I went in the Web 3.0 rabbit hole, and there's just opportunities everywhere, man. And it's sometimes hard to figure out for myself, like, okay, what is the one thing that I'm going to focus at, or the couple of things. I'm not a person that goes hard on just one. I have always a little bit of a couple balls, flying around. That's kind of the person who I am, I think. And but yeah, so that's what I'm going to do next year. And I'm, like I said, I've really enjoyed Band of Insiders until now. Hopefully this first call is the first of many. I enjoyed it. I didn't expect to be on the phone for an hour and 20 minutes. Yeah, exactly. So that's a good sign. Gonna share it with the rest of the gang, and hopefully we'll have more people here. And thank you, because you're the true early adapters, guys. Like, this is the core group. I'll never forget.
Engraved in your memory, Fons.
Thank you for taking this initiative, right? There's always someone that has to, spark it or initiate it, and then other people will follow. I think like-minded people will find like-minded people, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just, it's a startup, and or it's the start of something new, and you have people that are really engaged, and you can see that, and you have people that just have FOMO. It's how it is, and now we need to find a way how we can help each other, and not necessarily in achieving something, but just by sharing knowledge, just not always monetizing it, but for each other, but just helping each other.
Exactly, and I think only good stuff comes from that in the end. I think if you start with that the only goal is to make money, then it's never going to happen. But if it's good, it's good, and money will follow to good things, if you know what I mean. So it's I think it's I think I see Hector saying thank you. It was really cool to hear you guys. David is going to be visible next week. I don't know if you should do that. Not good for your brand,
I'm here.
David.
Okay, it's a bit off. Okay, from now on, no camera. Stay on brand.
Yeah, just buy some NFT and use that for the rest of all the Zoom calls.
Hey, I found my niche.
Exactly.
I'm Team David already.
Yeah. Yeah, awesome. I'll enjoy you guys' weekend, and we'll talk to each other in the Discord, and whatever happens on the weekend, just throw it in there, and let's help each other out even more.
I was also meeting all of you today.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah.
Nice to see.
Very nice.
Thank you
See you
again.
next
week.
time, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers.
All right,
Thank you,
guys.
man.
Have a good one. Bye.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye bye.